You know, the Rams offseason hasn't been good, but at least it can be explained. LAFC gets midfield depth from the Premier League of all places, and LeBron James, NBA legend, notorious cheapskate. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is April 1st, 2023. It is Galaxy Game Day. And since we are not 5 years old, it is not April Fool's Day. I don't give a damn about any of these, oh, hey, I'm pregnant on social media. I don't care. Nobody's falling for it. Not funny. We deal with reality. If you like the content that we bring about LA sports, feel free to click and clack the like button. Click and clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. It is a beautiful weekend. Let's enjoy it. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. It was a tremendous night for the Lakers last night. Minnesota coach Chris Finch said Anthony Davis, quote, kicked our ass in every way possible, unquote. Davis scores 39 points. Lakers 123, Minnesota 111. Now, Davis did turn an ankle in the second half during the game. Having said that, he is promising to be playing on Sunday. The Lakers are finally over 500 after starting the year 2-10. They have the 7th spot in the Western Conference brackets, which means they would be in the play-in tournament. With the victory over Minnesota lifted them over Minnesota. The next target is number 6. Golden State is within striking distance. Meanwhile, over at the Ravine, Mookie Betts homered, but it was a frustrating night for the Dodgers. They leave 12 people on base. Arizona 2, Dodgers 1. Dustin May did pitch 7 shutout innings. Very encouraging. Meanwhile, Norman Powell scores 16 points off the bench to lead the Clippers, who lost in Memphis 108-94. Meanwhile, today, back at the Ravine, at 6:30, it's going to be Arizona at the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw, who was 12-3 last year. He's going to be pitching against former Giant, eternal hothead, Madison Bumgarner, who went 7-15 last year. The Clippers will be playing at New Orleans at 5 o'clock. The Kings are at Seattle at 7. The Kings are having a rough road trip. They've lost their last 2 games. And what used to be the marquee matchup in MLS, what used to be, thank you, Chris Klein, Seattle is going to be at LA Galaxy at 4:30 p.m. And I need to issue a correction. There is a protest planned for the game or before the game. Fans who want to gather outside the stadium and protest the front office, demand a cleaning house, and not attend the actual game, just protest. I thought the game was originally a night game. I gave an incorrect time. It is going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park in Legends Plaza, but kickoff of this game being at 4:30, it's going to be an afternoon protest, not night. LAFC is at Colorado at 6:30. Now, a while ago, LAFC signed Timothy Tillman to be a reserve. He's not playing like a reserve. Tillman has 2 goals. So let's get to the news. As you can tell, there's a lot of matches going on today in LA, so it's a beautiful thing. Let's get to the news. The CBSSports.com gave the Rams a D for its offseason so far, and I would argue that the only surprise has been it hasn't been an F. Not that I think the Rams deserve an F, but honestly, the way sports writers think, it's often in a prism of 2 slots. You either love it or you despise it. It's either an A or it's an F. And considering the fact that the Rams have dismissed as many as 8 regulars from their defense, 8 of them, you would imagine that the defense being in complete tatters deserves an F from these sports writers. Massive drain of defensive talent, yada, yada, yada. But while it is true that the Rams are going to be awful on defense next year, we can at least explain it, this whole remodel thing. Here is the latest way to explain it. Over the Cap, it's a group that basically looks at all the salary cap projections in the NFL. states that the Rams have about $10.5 million in cap space. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, that's not a ton, but at least it means we might be able to go out and get a player or two in free agency, right? Wrong. They can't. There is something called effective cap space in the NFL. In other words, some of your cap space must be earmarked for the draft and also to fill out a 53-man roster with the minimum wage scrubs that you eventually need when players get injured. The so-called effective cap space for the Rams is not $10.5 million. It's $4.1. So in other words, $6 million of what they've saved goes to draft picks. That's how far the LA Rams were over the cap. So they had a choice. We could either restructure everybody's contract with a team that didn't do that well last year, or we can literally rip the bandage free, keep the people that we know are studs, and try to rebuild in 1 year of suffering. Here is something that you might not know about the Rams, by the way. The Rams have 45 open roster spots at the moment. 45. Again, look back to that cap space and think about all the players that they're going to need to sign. Now, during the offseason, you can carry as many as 90 players. You have to have 53, of course, during the actual regular season. Having said that, the Rams having 45 players are the only team that is lower than 53. Is the plan not to sign another 45 players, but is the plan just to get a little bit above 53 and pray for rain? pray for good fortune where they didn't have it in the injury bug last year. Just thinking out loud. Because again, when you take a step back and know what their goal is for next season, do the Rams really get a D or an F? Let me know what you think in the comments thread. Finally, there is a deal to bring a player from the Premier League to LAFC. Now, the Premier League, for those of you who don't watch a lot of international soccer, they are the Premier League. In other words, they are arguably the best soccer league in the entire planet. They play over in England. If you become a soccer junkie like me, you wind up staying up super early, getting up super early in the morning just to watch Rebecca Lowe and her cute little British accent introduce the games. Anyway, back to LAFC. Mateusz Bogusz, a midfielder with the most Dr. Seuss-like name I've ever heard in my life. He is on his way to LAFC. He is with Leeds, or was with Leeds United. This is a smart addition for the defending MLS Cup winners because, in my opinion, midfield was their vulnerable point. When the season was about to start, they run a 4-3-3. That means 3 midfielders. You know how many midfielders they had? 3. They got Tillman, the guy I mentioned earlier, which made it to 4. Now they have 5. Midfield has become something that was a bit of a vulnerability into something that is very likely a strength. The starters are remarkable. Now they have 2 pretty solid backups. So they bring over this 21-year-old from Poland as an insurance policy. Keep in mind, there might be a vulnerability for LAFC at some point during the season at midfield. Jose Cifuentes has been drawing a ton of attention overseas. A lot of foreign leagues, which pay a lot more than MLS, really want to sign this guy away. Now, to be honest with you, I never thought this move was going to happen because the foreign soccer press is extremely inaccurate. You might recall that the foreign press was really hyping a done deal a couple of weeks ago for this guy, and then it fell apart, but then it came back again. And the same writers who were swearing this guy was going to be in LAFC gear 2 weeks ago, they were claiming LAFC was going to sign Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Chelsea about a month and a half ago. That deal never happened at all. So again, for once, broken clock being right twice a day, LAFC get their guy, the midfielder Mateusz Bogusz from, I love that name, from Leeds. I want to give another shout out to somebody at LAFC. This does not have to do with the on-the-field product, but midfielder Illy Sanchez has become an American citizen. Good for him. I mean, Obviously, as a Galaxy fan, we're supposed to hate all things LAFC, but I'm not that type of guy. I like it when people come to the United States and want to become citizens and become citizens. It reminds me of my dad. Becoming an American citizen was one of the things he was most proud of. So good for Mr. Sanchez. Welcome to the United States. Now, I shouldn't mention this because it really has nothing to do with basketball. But here comes a quote. If you know me, I ain't paying the $5 for Twitter verification. This quote comes from LeBron James, worth $1 billion. And I can honestly say, LeBron, I honestly, in fact, did not know you. I didn't. I mean, I'm not saying Elon Musk needs the money. But $5? How many of you, if you scrolled through your iPhone or your smartphone right now, were like, I didn't realize I had a subscription to that? And LeBron James is penny pinching $5 for Twitter verification just because he doesn't want to pay $5? I mean, what else do you do, LeBron? What are the LeBron James hot money-saving tips? Do you dine and dash? Do you use the 5-finger discounts? Do you believe Q-tips are good for more than one use? Can you set me in on these money-saving fancy pants tips of yours? Believe me, I just don't get it. Okay, whatever you think of Elon Musk, whatever you think of the new Twitter, fine by me. But I am amazed about how all the famous and wealthy people are drawing the line at $5. It makes sense for us to draw the line at $5. We're struggling to feed ourselves out in this country right now. But the fabulously wealthy, the ones who drink, the ones who are just sitting there eating caviar in front of a roaring fireplace and having somebody read to them because they don't feel like using their eyes, and having somebody massage their feet. Oh, no. $5 is way too much for the blue check mark. Come on, guys. $5. You don't give a damn about those $5. The Bruins have hired former Navy coach Ken Niumatalolo. Wow, that's a hell of a name. Ken Niumatalolo as the Bruins director of leadership. Now, as difficult as this name is to pronounce, it's also extremely difficult to answer why the hell did they sign this guy? Why? He used to be the Navy coach, so obviously he knows a thing or two about X's and O's, but a director of leadership. Now, Ben Bolch of the LA Times calls this a creative hire. I'll tell you how creative it is. It's creative in that it bilks the taxpayers for even more money. What exactly is a director of leadership? Has there ever been a director of leadership in the history of football? Right? Did Vince Lombardi stop the Green Bay Packers dynasty because he absolutely had to comb mid-major colleges to try to find a director of leadership? Does Bill Belichick strike you as a guy who needs a director of leadership? Does Sean McVay strike you as a guy who needs a director of leadership? Who are these guys trying to kid? You know what this is? Straight up, this is a golden parachute for another one of Chip Kelly's friends. It is. They're pals. Just like how former defensive coordinator Bill McGovern is getting $900,000 this year just to sit at a cubicle and Netflix and chill. Niumatalolo, and I apologize for mispronouncing the guy's name, but let's be real. He and Kelly are longtime friends. Kelly gets fired by the San Francisco 49ers about a decade ago, right? The Navy coach brings in Kelly to the Naval Academy so that they could talk the spread offense. And a friendship developed. This is one guy creating a job to basically give a fat check to somebody who's really not going to do anything other than be a sounding board during the week. That's nothing. That's not coaching. Director of leadership. I would be much better off, much happier if you called this guy the offensive, a special offensive assistant or something like that, director of leadership at a public school. Get the hell out of here. Meanwhile, CBS Sports is not making a prediction about the Bruins, but they think the front runner for the quarterback job is actually Colin Schlee, the transfer from Kent State who threw for 17 touchdowns last year. The point is that the choice of which quarterback leads the Bruins next year is about the vision for the future. It's not that they're saying Schlee gives them a long-term future. He doesn't, because he was a transfer. But he can be a one-year stopgap to give Dante Moore the chance to learn the system. Kings defenseman Tobias Bjornfoot was recalled from Ontario. Now, if you saw Thursday night's game in Edmonton, Connor McDavid knocked Mikey Anderson into the boards. Anderson got his head dinged up a little bit. We just don't know how long Bjornfoot is going to be playing, or for that matter, if he's just an insurance policy, maybe Anderson could go tonight, but it doesn't look good. Somebody is going to stay with the Bruins basketball team. 6'10" Kenneth Nwuba, who was a spot starter when Adam Bona was injured late last year, told UCLA he was coming back yesterday. Honestly, though, this guy's going to be a blip. I don't mean to be disrespectful. He's a blip on the radar. He averages like 12 and a half minutes per game, 1.3 points per game. So, okay, the entire roster isn't bleeding, but this guy's not going to become an All-American overnight. Finally, the LA Galaxy acquired goalkeeper Novak Mikovic from a Serbian team whose name I would never be able to pronounce if you threatened my life. It's a short-term loan because there is a major problem brewing with the LA Galaxy. Their top two goalies are out. Jonathan Bond injured his shoulder 2 weeks ago. Jonathan Klinsmann hurt himself last week up in Portland. Although I believe it's in Portland. He may have got hurt in practice this week. I don't know just yet. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know how you would grade the Rams offseason. Let me know if you're an LAFC supporter how excited you are to have resolved the midfield depth issue. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back later today with a Galaxy Rapid recap. And Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.